alive for the last time this year.
A wild ride so far.
Yes, yes.
Welcome to Labs Talk, another episode. It's the last one of the year.
Exactly, yeah. How does it feel?
It feels exciting. I feel like we made a lot of progress. Just looking at that intro you did, Sven, awesome job.
It was also a wild ride actually this year.
Yeah,
to be honest
looks like lots of progress.
And we're also still nervous actually because we have some fun with our setup again basically, but let's keep fingers crossed. We had 22 episodes, we somehow made 22 episodes actually.
We're getting better. It's
awesome.
All going to be changed for the good. So no, I feel great.
How was your overall impression in 2024?
There has been a lot of change that we went through, and we coped well, I guess. We still were able to touch a lot of interesting, exciting topics. Just the recent series on robotics we did, that was really great. We learned a lot. We got to visit Oliver Hausdorfer in his lab, actually.
Yeah. It's very cool, actually. If you want to see the lab, you should go to LinkedIn and basically look up Andreas Neumeier, Sven Haiges. I think we both posted about that, right? It was impressive, and also I remember the robotics series, right? And with Oliver, this drone swarm and how it choreographed, moved around the place basically was pretty exciting. But I think the beginning of the year we also had some cool stuff like the spatial computing, for example, with Meta, for example. It was
exactly
pretty
the
amazing,
question I had for you. So like, what are your most memorable moments?
I think it was the spatial computing stuff, to be honest with you. And then so that was definitely exciting, even though I think for the rest of the year, I think spatial computing kind of lost a little bit the track, I believe, right?
Yeah, so but that's outside of Labs Talk. That's
it doesn't matter, right? It was a hot topic, and I think really touched deeply on it, I believe, so it was cool. And then one show that I think in retrospective I still find it quite exciting was actually this battle that we had from the Nordics blockchain conference, I think. Sorry, I mean, you've been in Munich probably, right? I've been in Copenhagen, I believe, and I was sitting in the middle in this podcast studio, which was pretty cool actually, in this little co-working space and startup space, and there was this Nordic blockchain conference going on, and then left was Anna and right was Magnus.
And they got
in the middle we got into a huge debate about crypto and finances and NFTs, and so for the first time I felt like I need to really improve on my moderation skills.
That was the very first episode we did on YouTube.
Yeah,
that's another big change we went through for this year.
Yeah,
when we went into the year, we still were with LinkedIn, and we guess we totally planned to stay there.
Yeah, do you want to give us some details, like why are we now on YouTube, for example?
I'm not sure whether that's something we can talk about publicly, I guess.
Yeah, but I think, I mean, the switch to YouTube for me, it was all about getting more control over the stream, basically, right?
We wanted to make an offer. Nevertheless, the camera just froze. Maybe we try and restart that. Is that something we can do for our audience?
We should be able.
While you're restarting the video, let me just go on about that LinkedIn versus YouTube thing. So we've been unhappy about how our audience can find our episodes and the content we produce, and we felt like a different channel would do a much better job, and with that at some point we faced technical issues and lots of conversations, and we just basically sat down and made that decision, like we start over.
Yeah, exactly. And then I think if I remember correctly, right, for half of a year basically we had this design A basically, then we moved also to YouTube with another design, and now at the end of this year we even have now yet another design. So it was from a UI and UX perspective also pretty wild, right? But now at the end of the year, and also with the help of Tuana from SAP Labs Munich, for example, because she gave us an excellent template in Canva actually, I think we have found a pretty cool new logo and overall design of the whole show. So I'm quite confident that maybe all these changes that we had in 2024 at some point really play out nicely, to be honest with you.
But for those who listen closely, we discussed how a lot of change happened more or less coincidentally right in the middle of the year. So that's why we split this show into two halves.
Yeah.
And today we want to speak through the first half of the year that was definitely different than the second half. And with that, I think Sven, you prepared another great video.
Yeah, let's recap. Let's start recapping the first half year. Okay, and let's quickly watch what we've done in the first half. So I guess first question to you, Andreas. I mean, that was the first year. I think the whole year was all about AI, basically. But what's your take on that, basically? So what have been the most profound advancements in AI that you see, basically, and what's your take on that?
Now, that's a good question. We had so many conversations with people from all different professions. And the one learning that I really made is AI really went into all different professions and all different type of products, and in particular with the work that we do here in with our employer, AI also got interconnected. So AI became more capable, so it has access to more data pools, it becomes actionable, it's interconnected, you can leverage that in more practical use cases. That happened. It's capable to work with APIs, with remote systems, and it becomes even more. It makes people even more productive. So it really evolves and matures.
Yeah, very cool. So it has taken. It hasn't taken too long actually for that to happen. To be honest with you, right? So we really moved on from this like input-output format into like input, a lot of API calls in between and some output, basically, which is then this interconnectedness that you speak about, probably, right? With
about 2 years, a good 2 years, and it's amazing to see how far it came in those 2 years since this hype started.
Yeah, cool.
Nevertheless, let me once again return the question. Since you're the Web3 guy, you're doing all our NFT drops.
Still believe in it, right?
We spoke to a couple of people in that space, and we learned a lot about that space throughout the year. And now looking back at the year, what was the biggest learning in that space?
Yeah, I mean, so I think from an SAP perspective, what we really focused on was actually to our, I guess, still not production-ready platform, right? But to our incubation project, we worked hard on exploring utility. So that's basically everything above collecting an NFT, what you can actually do with it, like what you can do as a user. And I know that the whole world is not like asking for NFTs these days, right? But I just had a long conversation with a colleague of ours, actually, with Corbinian, and I think just yesterday, the volume, for example, of NFT trades was something like $46 million, right? And Pachi Penguins NFTs are on spot 1, and one of them costs like above 100,000 K right now. So there is, believe it or not, but there is still a community out there of quite motivated people who are trading, who are using these NFTs for providing utility to a community, for example, like for in-game unlocks, for example, and stuff like that. And so I know it looks on the outside like a smaller topic, but I believe at some point this will really be ready, and we will see this utility come maybe also to the mass market. And if not, to be honest with you, I think it's still in a community that you somehow cannot kill, right? So it has been there all the time. I mean, during the NFT hype, it was massive. Now it came down to yesterday's 46 million in trades, which is just the trading part, right? It's not those people who are just holding NFTs maybe to get access or something like that. So I still believe in it. So I like digital collectibles, and I think you can build awesome communities with Web3. Yeah. I will definitely continue with that. So.
Okay, awesome.
But maybe a question for you. We also talked about sustainability, right? In Q1 or Q. I think it was a Q2
something
topic,
like Q1,
basically.
Q2 type of
so,
topic.
So how do you think this topic will further develop, actually?
Well, to start with, it's very dear to my heart that it does develop. And maybe we pick that topic up once again next year, because it's super important for everybody, all and everybody of us. It's for the sake of the planet. I'm really, from the bottom of my heart, convinced we need to, as a society, change to a sustainable society. And in all the conversations we had, I learned there are some drivers that make me very positive, that despite all the global politics, climate, there's driving forces that help us change for the better, and there is legislation and regulation in place that started and kicked off developments that are not to stop. And we spoke about ESG reporting and how that's a requirement, and how consumers are more conscious these days, and consumers ask for sustainable products, and there is a growing trend for sustainability, and people are really conscious. And with that, I don't know, but I strongly believe that sustainability will become a more important topic, an increasingly important topic, and people are becoming more conscious about it. And eventually also the economy and industry picks it up, and I think there is opportunity also for industry to produce sustainably and to open up new markets, and that there is economic incentive to become sustainable. So with that, I want to believe in a bright future.
It makes a lot of sense, actually, to use this planet in a way that we can actually keep using it for a long, long time, basically.
That's true,
maybe my 2 cents on that. But
Sven,
anyway,
with that's very much the first half. We spoke about how our changes coincide with SAP changes, and we have a special goodie. We had a special guest, the one person that's been in the driving seat for a lot of change.
Exactly, and that's Stefan Wagner, right? So we have recorded with Stefan on Tuesday for some timing scheduling reasons.
Big shout out. Thank you for making it happen.
And I think we should just watch this video now, and I was able to quickly upload it to YouTube, so we can hopefully nicely watch it now from our stream. So let me just start sharing here and enjoy this video in a moment. So, okay. Kann ich den share?
Once again.
All right, perfect. Thank you for being here, Stefan. It's awesome to have you. And we want to also recap the year a bit with you, of course, our managing director for SAP Labs Munich. Very cool. So, Stefan, first of all, you survived the Christmas party, right? That was last week. So how did you experience the Christmas party?
Yeah, first of all, thanks. Yeah, the Christmas party is always a great milestone for all of us. For us as a team who prepares it, is it very challenging and exhausting. But if it's then there, then we celebrate even more.
Perfect. So you're basically celebrating the end of the Christmas party, basically,
correct,
right? Because the Christmas party was work, basically, more or less.
Yeah, for us it's a great milestone, and we have to accomplish it, and we did it, and the best.
But it was well done, honestly. It was well done. I had just great memories. It was really cool. Also, super downtown in Munich, basically easy to get home. And so now, if the Munich transport system would work better, that would be even more happier.
Yeah,
so
but what happens in Munich stays in Munich. That's
absolutely.
We should close this topic now.
Absolutely. Stefan, that Christmas party, I perceived that as a big reward for a very exciting year. A lot of things happened in 2024. We moved to this new building, and I'm pretty sure you had a very exciting and a very busy year. How did you perceive the entire year from end to end?
Yeah, in preparation of this podcast here, I thought about a little bit, and the whole year went by, how can I say, like a freight train, very fast and unstoppable. So many things what we already had launched or initiated years ago, for example, the consolidation of our location strategy, the collaboration contract with TUM, the establishment of our industry university collaboration hub, our initiatives, many partnerships, the investments around. So all of that, what over years we tried to plan and bring in place and implement, came now to a final end this year, and the results. That is one. So a lot of work came to a closure, and we had then to make it happen finally. But that also, on the other side, new dimensions came on top. Number one, we were affected by new working models. I mean, were in the construction of a new building and came out of Corona, and then we said, okay, let's move completely to a 100% flex work. Not easy. Geopolitical problems. We at SAP had to decide where we are going to invest in the future. Where do we set our development hubs? All of these, so new things next to the already running machine. So it, under the line, it felt a little bit like a marathon. So in June, when we opened the building, then finally, this was the biggest milestone, certainly. But then afterwards, the second race started because we had to operate it and bring all of that in place. So it was an intense year.
I think it's a little bit like an iceberg, probably, right? So you just, from our perspective, right, and you just see the opening of the, now also SAP Garden, by the way, but also the new office location here. But of course for you, there will be many more activities underneath, right, that happened over the last years, and finally they come to closure, as you said, right? So it's quite amazing, really.
Correct, Jens, Sven, sorry, because most people only see this building and then they think the work is done. The building, first of all, you have to fill. What does a nice building bring if you not can move in the right people who do the right things with the right stakeholders in the ecosystem? So all of these elements have to be in place, and they came all together at the right time. So we can were able to launch this common center, how we call it.
Very cool.
For interdisciplinary.
So let's talk a bit about what happened since the opening, actually, right? So what from a content perspective, basically, what awesome meetings and events did you have here in the new building, actually, in the new office location?
Or to that, you probably got feedback already. What are, out of all the events that you and your team ran so far, which were those events that received the best feedback?
Okay, for the listener who may not know really our concept, allow me quickly to explain why we are different here and what we do different. So first of all, this entire ecosystem, the situation in Munich where we have a proximity to our customers, 900 plus customers we have certainly one of the most ripened ecosystems with startups. We have 135,000 students here in the ecosystem. We have leading universities, not only the TUM, also the LMU, by the way. So all of that, according to these given circumstances and this vibrant European tech cluster, I would call it, where we also have many competitors and partners and friends here around us. You know, all the big tech hubs are here,
startups,
vendors, corporations from
big corps too,
our friends from Google, everybody is here. So according to this circumstance, this environment, we built this campus here, and the campus is supposed to be a place for interdisciplinary work across the entire ecosystem, so that you give all the different stakeholders, from students, from partners, from customers, and so forth, the possibility to meet and also to generate, at the end, new ideas, new innovations, new disruptive innovations, and also bring that closer to SAP's product at the end. And that is what we achieved here in the ground floor. It's absolutely unique. You don't find it anywhere else at SAP.
Maybe you can actually elaborate on that a little bit, actually, right? Because we really have the TU Munich inside of the building. Right? So it's really, this is like on the first floor, right? There's a section that just belongs to TU Munich, basically.
Sven, I almost forgot that. That is for sure the greatest differentiator.
Right? I mean, this is, I've not seen this before, and so maybe you could talk about that.
I know for sure, I've been there. There's lectures downstairs. We have this awesome auditorium in the building here.
You're right, Andreas. This is actually the place which belongs to the common center, how we call it. Yes, the partnership with the TUM enabled us at this first stage to build this building on the ground of the university. You're right. And associated with that, we also are sharing the building. We are, in Germany, we say a WG, so to say. We live together.
How do you call that actually? It's we're roommates basically with the TUM
roommates,
unit.
correct. And they have their separate area for sure. Also our developers have their separate area, but we have a common area, and there is a training center, conference room, the auditorium, that we are sharing the cafeteria, we have a joint open public coffee, and many meeting rooms and design thinking
joint
sessions. Joint gym, yes. Correct. All of that we have. And this makes it special, without any doubt. And it's also, from a cultural point of view, also for SAP new. When I, just this morning, a friend from Waldorf visited me, wow, I don't need a badge here. No, you don't. You enter the building, you can check out and visit many areas without having it. And this is, we want to be seen as an inviting company, and inviting different stakeholders from the ecosystem.
Which is an awesome foundation. I guess we all love the location, and the foundation that you're describing seems like a perfect basis. We're at the end of 2024. And of course, we're a little bit curious what's going to happen. We're going to look, we're going to speak about the outlook in the larger episode that we're going to produce. But the question for you here really, with that foundation that you described, what's cooking really, what's coming, what under your leadership, what can we expect next year, what's coming up, what more awesome things are going to happen?
Yeah, so we are building on our strengths and further want to expand on the strengths. That's simple. I'm a strong believer in that you have to have a focus in a certain location. It's important for everything. It's for the external stakeholders important that you can clearly articulate what are you doing here in Munich. It's important for the board of SAP, where they're going, what they can expect from us, where they supposed in which areas they are going to invest, makes sense. And it's also important for our employees, for you and me, that we really are aware about the fact for what stands Munich. And we are having here a credo, which you certainly know, creating impact together. And this is actually what we, according to that, we want to look ahead in the coming years. That means definitely number one, we want to intensify actually the collaboration with the technical university TUM. And we are, the main work we are doing there at the moment is that we run applied research projects. And the emphasis is on applied, because our top objective is that the research, which goes from 2 to maximum 4 years, will actually transfer into the roadmap of SAP. So the results have to end at the end in our products. Otherwise, it makes us number one. So that is what we want to strengthen. And here, of course, the topics around research in the future will definitely AI. For sure, this is a tsunami at the moment, I would call it.
Yeah, you can't get out of it.
No, you cannot. But then also going back to what Munich gives us, it's definitely the topic quantum we want to invest. So that is very important. We are seeing here the focus in the future on the whole topic of digital supply chain. We are going to invest further in the area of customer experience. Mobile solutions is our topic. So this is, and all of around this, also the development focus, what I just explained, we want really also to drive then research. So that's
very cool.
One topic. And the other one, what you just also said, Andreas, this innovation formats, which we are having in mind, events you call it. For me, it's more innovation formats.
We're the podcasting guy. Everything is an event.
Most of the time, we don't do them alone. We do them with the ecosystem, and that's also very important. Because if you always think you can do things alone, it won't work. You have to find partners, and then you enrich the event, the innovation formats, with other stakeholders, meaning researchers, meaning students, meaning startups, and entrepreneurs simply. And that enrich the perspective, and then you can create much better solutions.
Perfect.
Awesome.
We're of course over time, but those were great answers. Enjoyed it a lot. have a great Christmas time. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
Let me give back. Our podcast also works with the community, and with that, thank you for being here and being part of our community.
Also, thanks to the community to listen to the podcast, and we that is one of our innovation formats, by the way. You belong to Creating Impact Together, and
one team.
Thanks that you host this, and let's make this as an objective for next year. We have to spread this more to the world.
Yeah, everybody has to subscribe. So if you listen to that, if you see this, please subscribe. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And
Thank you.
Come to Munich. Bye bye.
Yeah, that was nice.
All right, so we're back. That was nice. So that's
absolutely. I love it actually. So
first half
sharing here.
First half of the year, Sven. Now. With the opening of the building, that marked a lot of change for us. Now let's go into a second half of the year,
let's
and we start.
Let's take a look at the second half, and just for all the people who are watching, basically, you will see a different design, basically, which now turned into green because we thought green is kind of a nice color, and then the final episode, this episode is actually again using a different design, right? Which is hopefully our design that we go forward with into 2025. So let's recap H2. The second half of 2024. Cool. So let's me to start the question. Come on.
We had a whole different set of topics in second half of the year.
Yeah, so we should maybe explain why we're so laughing, right? Because we always have a lot of fun while we play these videos, so you don't know what's going on here behind the scenes. Anyway, so I remember that actually the security topic with Marielle Ehrmann the episode was a big one actually. And I also remember that I was really, really nervous because we talk about security, right, and compliance and all these kind of tough topics. So what do you remember from that episode, and what's your take on security, compliance, and cloud software, basically?
So I hope I'm qualified to answer that question. I still carry a couple of security certifications. I worked in that field for many years. But I shared that feeling. Like Marielle is the Senior Vice President of Security and Compliance here in SAP, and when I approached that, I noticed two things, like talking with such a high-ranking colleague. Obviously, that was very organized, which like we can't claim all the time here in our episode. We broadcast live and we allow things to slip and everything. Marielle came prepared, really prepared, with her assistant, and that's something we don't deal with very often. So we have that conversational character. Was super prepared, super professional, that I liked a lot. And the one thing, being the software guy myself, the one other thing that I noticed and took out of that physical security is also something really big for SAP. We run our own data centers. We do develop own IP in SAP, access control, all those type of things play a huge role and are a big topic for Marielle, and that I didn't really account for when I went into that interview, and that's something I learned from there.
Yeah, I certainly remember that, and maybe just adding to the video from Stefan, right? So we have a shared space here with TU Munich. So maybe it's even a bigger topic here, of course, right? Because we need to have some physical and separate spaces for the TU Munich and for SAP, but then we also want to have these collaborative spaces, of course, right? So it's an interesting topic how we combine that.
Anyway, we did run further interviews, and we had a few interviews with people from the blockchain and federated learning space. What did you take out of that?
Yeah, I think you're probably talking about the Web3 Now study, and then also we also talked with Lukas, I believe, Lukas Beckenbauer, about federated AI, if I remember it correctly. And that has actually a huge potential, especially for Germany, right? So that's what I learned from that episode. So the idea is here roughly, let's say these small and medium-sized companies are putting their data together and are training with that data AI models, which alone they would simply not be able to train because they would not have enough data. But they can all basically put the data together and then participate in the success of these models. So, and that can be facilitated with decentralized with federated AI, that's how it's called, right? So you basically have little basically AI models that you generate, and they all become one basically, and in the end you still are able to see what one company contributed, for example, and how much of the, let's say, revenue or success should be from that company, for example. So that's something I found really interesting.
One thing I think that's really worth mentioning and to emphasize is that federated learning, that's a model that companies can leverage a technology that allows them to share, or the other way around actually, to train AI models without sharing their data. And to
exactly right, that's you don't even have to expose your own super private data, but you basically expose it, or you basically deliver it in a way that you can just create a model out of it without actually giving your private data away to another company. Let's say Mercedes and BMW working together, so although those would not be small medium-sized companies anyway.
Exciting opportunities from that technology.
And also a bit far out, right? I mean, there was of course research, right? There was very hot research, I believe, from the TU Munich
with Lukas
Beckenbauer, right, a PhD candidate, and so we'll see. But Andreas, maybe this is a topic for you actually, right? Because you liked that episode. So we talked a lot. We also had an episode about SAFe, Skilled Agile Framework. And what I liked about that episode, to be honest with you, was that we mostly talked about how we build communities of practice, and in that communities of practice, that term, there's community, and I liked to talk about communities basically, right? But what did you learn? How did you experience that
really
episode?
There's a bit of a backstory to that. When we reached out to Florian Mattis and Franziska Tobisch, we got in touch over the topic of Scaled Agile Framework, SAFe for short. And the idea that we internally discussed really was, we talk about AI and sustainability and robotics and like all the big software projects that require many engineers, hundreds, thousands of engineers. And SAFe is a method to scale up organizations and to allow for those large projects. That was the expectation. And when we reached out to Franziska, we quickly learned that communities play a big role in scaling software engineering. And I felt as soon as we started the conversation, I felt we both felt a little bit triggered in that, because we consider Labstalk to be a community, and that term and the research that Franziska does, that just pushed a few buttons for both of us.
Yeah, and I think it in the end, right, if you want to have a well-working software development process basically, then you need a good community, which is nothing else than a couple of people basically. And one way to, I guess, get people to work together nicely is by basically having, let's say, joint activities and also good communication and stuff like that. So that's again our topic then basically. So I started to like that episode a lot actually. So why we had that episode,
So let's jump around a little bit, because we had a few individual episodes. That SAFe one being the individual one, but we did another one with Verena Neumeier, and we spoke about women in tech.
Yeah, absolutely.
You prepared to recap that?
Well, I mean, Verena was amazing to have her on the show, basically, right? She's a colleague of ours here in Munich, and we've always we had a lot of lunches together, and we've been kind of super motivated together and discussing various topics. And then one day or the other, I think we said, hey, why don't we actually do a show about it, right? Yeah. That's how it happened, basically. And I still remember that I'm still quite fascinated by the fact that her main job is really pushing the boundaries of women at SAP, basically, more or less, right? She's actively approaching women and trying to help them to develop, basically, which is awesome, right? So
the other thing that I learned, but that's more a bit of perception. So in this case, just looking at that, the camera froze again.
Let me fix that again.
While we're fixing video, Verena also does external events. So if you're around, in particular in Munich, Verena runs public events every once in a while in cooperation with her partners. So if you get to join one of her events, approach her, say hi. She's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, cool.
What else? We skipped the biggest chunk of topics. Let's talk about robotics quickly.
Yeah,
before we go ahead.
That's something we can't skip. Actually, that's totally true. So robotics was not just a 3-part episode or series, right? It was a 4-part series. What I really liked about that series that we had a lot of video content. I mean, robotics is a cool topic, of course, but it makes it even cooler if you have something nice to watch
to see the result. It's
tangible.
tangible.
Especially with René from Reply, for example, where we had this video about Amica, for example, and all kind of other robots like Spot, for example. They were just this like 4-legged, well, of course, 4-legged dog, basically, right? Like a dog used to have.
Yeah, absolutely. But also Alona had this quick video.
Alona with her absolutely cool robots in care, right? I believe robotics in care was amazing. And then we closed it. We closed with Jörg. With Oliver Hausdorfer, right? And the swarm of drones that would basically move in a choreographed way. No, that was. I think I've just liked to see those pictures, and there was also sometimes some music and beautiful, colorful lights, basically, which I like to see, LEDs, right? So that was amazing, but I think it also painted a bit a picture of what you can do with AI and robotics, basically, right? So
to round that off, the 4th episode we did with Lisbeth Kreitmeier from KUKA, and we spoke about industrial robots a little bit and how industrial, like say, programming works and the tooling and the knowledge management that's necessary to build those large-scale industrial robots. So those the 4 episodes we did. So big shout out to all the experts that were game and came to our show.
And now maybe if we are actually talk about shout outs already, actually we should also shout out, give a special shout out to Jörn, for example, right? Jörn Silvestre, who's helping us so much to bring on people onto the show, actually, and also Marie from the SAP Labs Munich team, for example.
Invaluable support, like only half of the work would have came out without their help.
And Jörn is even supporting me with my fitness, right? Because in about half an hour I will go on a run with him in Garching. He will push the limits, basically. So
once again, Marie and Jörn, you're awesome. Thank you for all your help.
And we're freezing again.
Yay.
I love it. But by now we know how to fix it, at least. Yeah. So
let's restart once again, and while video hopefully comes back, let's really round this off. So we spoke about everything we did. Sven, what is it that we're going to do? Let's look into next year a little bit.
So I mean, I'm really happy about, because this in our podcast, I think that's kind of my role here, is also to do a bit of the design, and I'm really happy with the new logo, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm not sure we didn't kind of scientifically prove that it's kind of cool, but I like it how it looks.
Like a traditional podcast logo.
Yeah, it looks like a podcast logo, so I like that, basically. But we also have a good plan for the next year, right? So we don't really have a plan for Q3 and Q4, but I think Q1 and Q2 is roughly emerging now.
I feel super confident, tying back to questions we started with. How do I feel like next year we are super organized for the first 5 months or so. So
absolutely,
we have a plan. We're going to talk about technology in sports.
Yeah,
that's we have stay tuned. We are going to announce everything. We're going to stick to a 2 weeks cadence.
So we don't want to announce the specific speakers now, right? So good that we talked about it. Right?
Stay tuned. Early next year, we have a few awesome speakers and interview guests.
But I can maybe break some ice at least, right? So I will not mention any names, but we're gonna definitely look at sports and how it intersects with technology. And I think it's really a topic that's very close to our hearts, I believe, right? Because we're both, I would say, sportsmen, right? So we love cycling and all kind of other sports, basically. But then, of course, we also love technology. And how does it both basically interact? And what role does it play in business, for example, right? So we definitely will talk about all kind of things from sponsoring, basically, to a more technical way of interpreting this topic, basically. And we might also go a little bit into esports, which I like actually in the end. So that's then we go into a digital area, basically. And then we'll see basically how the year develops, actually. And I think we will just take on the topics that
with
develop.
Your input. So we are going to stay in YouTube. I think we both like that channel. I hope we like that channel too. It gives us an opportunity to give you an offer in one place, and it gives you an opportunity to subscribe to that channel. And
perfect.
With a bit of luck, we are going to improve on mostly audio and also video quality going forward in a proper studio. So we are going to professionalize throughout the year.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that studio, to be honest with you, because that it means not just kind of booking a meeting room and trying to prep it basically half an hour before, go crazy about some cables that are missing and stuff like that. But it means just hopefully getting in, turning on something, and then going live, basically.
For you, that basically means no more crazy behind the scenes videos and photos. But I guess with that, we wrapped it all up. Right?
Exactly, and we should maybe also, what are we drinking here, by the way? So your idea was to have some hot wine. My idea was to have something non-alcoholics, and so luckily I remembered to buy something.
Cheers to the year, Sven.
So we have some beautiful Rabenhorst, Wissen was gut tut, with a lot of vitamin C. Enjoy. And now we should wrap it up, yeah?
Thank you for being here. Subscribe.
Thank you so much,
See you next year.